Hey everyone, it's Haug here, and in today's video we're going to be going through the effortless way, something that's going to really help you out tremendously in attaining and attracting in the successful you're looking for. And make sure you stay to the end of the video because we're going to be going over a unique exercise I use on a daily basis that if you start using and implementing it right away can start to 2, 3, 4, or even 5x what you're already doing right now. And I've seen those results, and my clients are seeing those results as well by using this. And these are the great Neville Goddard secrets. So let's jump right into it here. This is really talking about less action on your side, less doing, more tuning in. Okay. So what Neville says here is the principle of least action governs everything in physics, from the path of a planet to the path of a pulse of light. Least action is the minimum of energy multiplied by the minimum of time. Therefore, in moving from your present state to the state desired, you must use the minimum of energy and take the shortest possible time. Now, I hope something like this excites you. I mean, what if you could attain your goals a lot more rapidly? What if you could attain your goals in a lot less time with a lot less effort, right? That's the ultimate package. That's the ultimate idea of manifesting. Taking your idea from the ether and bringing it into the visible realm that you can see physically, right? So when we're talking about least action, we're talking about a very exciting principle, and we want to study this, we want to understand it. So let's go through this first part one more time. Least action governs everything in physics. And even I have an engineering background. I do remember that from my engineering classes. We did so many advanced calculus classes, physics, and chemistry classes. And all the patterns, even from the tiniest things to like electrons, it's all about least action. It's minimum energy required is the essential idea, okay? So least action is the minimum of energy. So the least amount of energy multiplied by the minimum of time. It's really good. Again, you want to get your success level with the least amount of energy and the least amount of time. Of course, we all want that, right? So let's go to what does this actually mean? Your journey from one state of consciousness to another is a psychological one. So to make the journey, you must employ the psychological equivalent of least action, and that psychological and the psychological equivalent is mere assumption. So what are we talking about here? So we're not talking about planets, we're not talking about electrons, we're not talking about science. We're talking more about your level of success. What do we need to do in order for you to start killing it more, in order to start to really move your results forward, to really expand, leap forward? What does that look like, right? We're talking about the psychological equivalent being mere assumption. That's all it is, 2 words, mere assumption. So your journey, what he says, from one state of consciousness to another. So let's do an example. Your consciousness of being wealthy and prosperous compared to maybe a lackful consciousness, right? So we're talking about from this lackful consciousness to the abundant, prosperous consciousness. How do we get from one state to another? It's assumption. And you know, sometimes this can be troubling even for myself when I was first studying this, and still to this day I have to do reminders to myself that this stuff isn't like magic. It's not that you affirm that you're wealthy today and it just happens overnight, although a lot of things can happen overnight. It's more so that our objective is to get from this lower state of consciousness and elevate ourselves to a higher level of consciousness. That's the idea. That's what we want to do. So a lot of people will study this information. You might have even read this in Neville Goddard's work before. If you've been on my channel, if you're brand new to the channel but have read Neville Goddard's work or anything similar, you know, we can get tied up in studying, but not actually changing our consciousness. So that's why I work with all my clients basically on, that's all we want to do is implement consciousness shift. That's all that matters. You know, you do need some study, like you're watching this video, you're starting to gain more awareness, expand who you are. But the objective for you to get more success and more goodness in your life is absolutely about the psychological equivalent of least action, which is assumption, which is translating your current level of consciousness and elevating it to a higher state. And we're going to be talking about, again, keep sticking with us here, because we're going to be talking about an exercise that's really going to help you move forward in the idea of shifting that consciousness and something you can apply on a daily basis. So one more time, we're going to go through this reading here. Your journey from one state of consciousness to another is a psychological one. So to make the journey, you must employ the psychological equivalent of least action. And that psychological equivalent is mere assumption. Okay? This, by the way, is in the great book, Power of Awareness. So you know where this is keyed in from. So let's talk about one of the exercises that I do on a daily basis to help myself change that consciousness. So first we want to define assumption. Now, we've all heard the word before, assumption, but you know, words, when you actually define them and look them up, can actually, when you see the definition and the distinction of what it's really about, can help you understand the topic. So I encourage you to do that for everything. Like, look up the definition of what we're talking about here. Assumption, a thing that is accepted as true or is certain to happen without proof. Let's say that again. A thing that is accepted as true or is certain to happen without proof. That's very interesting. So if we go back to Neville's words here, he's talking about in order to journey into the success that you want to attract, the wealth, the money, the relationships, the house, the cars, the giving away, the legacy, all the different things, we need to accept it as true or as certain it will happen without proof of it happening. See what goes on here? This is the trick that's hardest for most people, right? Because they want to see evidence. You know, if you tell people there's an idea of telepathy, right? If you tell people there's an idea that people can really transform physical matter with using their minds, if you hear about these things, it seems like hocus pocus. There's no way. That's science fiction. It's something you'd see in Star Wars. That's something you'd see in the sci-fi film, you know, whatever it is, right? These individuals are looking for concrete proof. They're science-based people, right? And some things can't be proved scientifically yet. But if they're not proved scientifically, what did the science community say? If I can't prove it on a repeatable experiment, it must therefore not exist, right? However, if you looked at this, 100 years ago, you showed even the greatest scientists of all time and said, over 100 years ago, we'll say 150 years ago, we're going to translate our voice, we're going to speak into this mechanism, we're going to call it a phone, okay? These people from 150 years ago, again, remember we're talking about, okay? We're going to say, we're going to speak through this thing right here, and I'm going to call somebody 10,000 miles away, and they're going to hear my voice instantaneously from when I'm speaking to them nearly. The person would think you're insane. The person said, where's the proof? Where's the proof? Show me, right? There's no way that could happen. I've never seen a thing like that in my life. That's ridiculous. That's in the, that can't exist, right? However, we both know, you and I, and anybody else, we know this exists because we use them every day. So we believe in it because it's proof. But if we didn't have this proof, and you said that to somebody, and in fact a scientist, they would say that's impossible. I know quantum mechanics, I know that physical matter is all there is. There's not this invisible communication line. Unless you're talking to somebody like Nikola Tesla, or somebody who had that brilliant genius of understanding these principles well before, right? Or Alexander Graham Bell, somebody who really was able to unleash and harness the ether for communication and things that we want in this lifetime, right? So what we're talking about here is your wealth, your success, the stuff that you want in your life. You're not going to see the proof. You're not going to see anything happening necessarily that proves that this is going to work. You just got to try it, and you got to experiment with it and start assuming, accepting as true the world you want to be in. Yesterday is all about yesterday's thoughts. That's why today you're getting the results you're getting. It's from yesterday and the month before and the year before, all those accumulated thoughts. Everything you imagine today goes forward in the future, right? So again, assume to be true now that you're successful, that you're wealthy, that you are that identity of where you want to go. It's certain it will happen. So here's the technique. Daily, talk to yourself for 10 minutes as if you were in the success you seek. Like literally talk to yourself. It doesn't have to be out loud, it can be within. You're going to go ahead and close your eyes and entertain mental conversations as if you had the thing. So if I had, if I wanted an income of $20,000 a month, by the way, which is not hard, okay, anybody that's listening in and you don't have $20,000 a month, don't think it's big, because it's not. When I was at some point where I was like $10,000 a month, oh my God, if I just had $10,000 a month coming in, everything would be so easy, right? but then you have 10,000 a month, and then you increase your expenses, then you need 20,000, 30,000, right? So 20,000 a month is not hard, okay? Here's a good affirmation on like a side note as a bonus. Write down for yourself. It's almost comical how easy success is. It's almost comical on how to create an income of 20,000 a month or 40,000 a month. All those, they're not that hard, okay? So get that in your mind now. Now, those people that don't have money or limiting money beliefs, they'll argue all night and day in order to prove me wrong. That money's always been hard in their life. It always will be. Their parents struggled, worked, 3 jobs. It's always been hard. There's never enough. No, that's their own money mindset they got to fix. Okay, it's not a fact that money's hard or hard. Maybe they've experienced it in their life, so it's valid with their experience so far. But that doesn't mean that's the reality. We all live these stories based on traumas that happened in our life so far, and we get absorbed with these stories and stories about what is, what isn't, what's supposed to be, what's not. They're all made up by humankind. Okay, but that's not the reality of what's going on. These are stories from traumas, not the reality, right? So for this, you want to start talking to yourself as if you're already there. I am a success. Wow, how wonderful today is it that I have this good amount of money coming in? How wonderful today is it that I signed up 4 clients? Or how wonderful today that I attract a new job with a bonus of $5,000? How wonderful, right? So you want to talk to yourself and see yourself with the success you're seeking, but talk to yourself by yourself as much as possible in your imagination. I do this, you could do this for 5 minutes. If 10 minutes is too much, you could do 20 minutes. Just start entertaining this on a daily basis, and this will help immensely. In the comments box below, go ahead and throw a number 1, okay? And this is just for accountability for you. Throw a number 1 if you're willing to do this for the next 5 days, just 5 days, not a big commitment. That you're willing to take 5 to 10 minutes, talk to yourself about your success level before it happens, and you're willing to, again, stay committed to this for 5 days. Throw a number 1 into the chat box, or the comment box rather, below, if you're willing to commit to something like that, to give yourself some accountability. So start assuming accepting is true now, is certain it's going to happen, certain you're in the right track in order to move forward, if that makes sense. Now, if you want any help with this, we got everything you need, okay? You can accelerate yourself to the next level in our Manifestation Accelerator course. If you're looking to get mentorship, description below, you can book a call with my team. Or if you're looking to build a business, we got a certification as well, Certified Manifestation Coach. All of these are available to you. You don't need them if you're like, I'm going to try this out. However, from my experience, you need a mentor, you need an empowering environment, soul tribe, you need a program, you need structure, you need to know how to do things, and it will quicken your pace of success a lot more by having those tools in your back pocket as well. Super, super important. Even if you don't have the money now, try the accelerator out. It's a tiny amount of money, less than a cell phone bill per month. It's very, very easy. If you're looking for that higher level mentorship and something to really bring you to a whole new level, we got it. I'm telling you, we have hundreds of testimonials now because we give the exact guidance you're going to need to really bring yourself and your business, if you have one, to a whole new level you've never experienced before. And again, if you love this information, you want to build a business out of it, we have a certification that teaches you how to coach this material, and then also how to build a business out of it, like A to Z. How do you do it? How do you start having $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 income months? I've done it myself, and I was able to take all that experience and put it into a program structure that will help you replicate and do that same thing, and then start scaling yourself to $50,000 a month, $60,000 a month, and then some, and wherever you want to go. So if you feel called to, you love this information, you love helping people, you love serving people, you already do it to your friends and family, you give the books away, and you help as much as possible, this is probably up your alley and something that would intrigue you and excite you. So in the description below, go ahead and click the links, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the courses here. Try this exercise out again for 5 days. We'll see how it goes here. Let me know in the comments box if this is helpful, because I can certainly keep these exercises going, developing more content that will help you in these ways, but certainly other content that will help you apply better, understand manifestation better, understand assumption better, all those ideas as well. So let me know in the comments box if this was helpful, and we'll look forward to seeing you over in our programs very shortly. go ahead and click the links in the description below. And make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And click the bell icon to get notified.